Nathan Blake, a San Diego tech titan, plans a lavish 18th anniversary surprise for his wife, Claire, only to be blindsided by her and their daughter, Ava, demanding an open marriage. Claire's already captivated by celebrity chef Ryan Holt, and Ava cheers her on. Furious but composed, Nathan agrees, crafting a cunning postnup to protect his empire. His revenge? Dating Ryan's sister, Elise, and cutting Ava's financial lifeline. As Claire's affair crumbles and Ava faces harsh realities, Nathan's plan spirals into unexpected bonds and devastating consequences. Will his calculated moves destroy his family or pave a new path? This gripping tale of betrayal, twists, and redemption keeps you hooked until the shocking end. Watch to see Claire and Ava reap the consequences of their choices while Nathan grapples with love, loss, and a chance at renewal. Don't miss the moral showdown that changes everything. Nathan Blake, a 43-year-old tech CEO, had built Blake Innovations into a San Diego juggernaut, its AI-driven security solutions coveted by global firms. His father, a retired Navy SEAL, had drilled into him a mantra: discipline over emotion, results over regrets. Nathan lived by it, commanding boardrooms with the same precision he'd once applied in reservist training. But on August 10, 2025, as the Pacific sun dipped below the horizon, painting La Jolla's coastline gold, his disciplined world began to fracture. Nathan had just finalized a deal with a Fortune 500 client, his mind on a surprise for his 18th wedding anniversary with Claire. At 41, Claire was a freelance event planner, her elegance and quick wit still captivating. They'd met at UCLA, her spontaneity balancing his focus, and their daughter, Ava, now 19 and a UC San Diego freshman, was their shared triumph. Nathan planned a weekend at a Coronado Beach villa, envisioning candlelit dinners to rekindle their spark. He pulled into their La Jolla home, a modern glass and steel marvel with ocean views, and stepped inside. The air carried Claire's signature citrus diffuser, but the vibe was off. In the open-plan living room, Claire stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, her dark hair pulled tight, her posture stiff. Ava sat on a sleek sectional, her phone untouched, her eyes gleaming with a mix of nerves and excitement. "Hey," Nathan said, setting his laptop bag down. "What's this about?" His voice was casual, but a knot formed in his gut. Claire turned, her expression rehearsed. "Nathan, please sit. We need to discuss something." He settled into a leather chair, his gaze shifting between them. "All right. What's up?" Ava leaned forward, her voice eager. "Dad, we've been talking and we think it's time to modernize things. Mom wants an open marriage. It's like totally normal now. Couples are evolving past old-school rules." Nathan's pulse spiked, but his face remained a mask honed from years of high-stakes deals. "An open marriage," he said, his eyes locking onto Claire. "This your idea, or Ava's?" Claire's fingers fidgeted with her necklace, a telltale sign of nerves. "It's mine," she said, her voice steady but soft. "We've had a good run, Nathan, but I feel stuck. I want to explore something new." The words hit like a rogue wave, but Nathan's reservist training kicked in. Stay calm, assess, respond. "Explore," he repeated, his tone flat. "You mean someone else?" "Who?" Claire hesitated, then met his eyes. "Ryan Holt. The chef. He owns Holt's Coastal Grill in Gaslamp Quarter." Ryan Holt. Nathan knew him, a 44-year-old culinary star with a Food Network show and a grin that sold out reservations. Nathan had hosted clients at his restaurant, unaware Holt was charming his wife. The betrayal stung, but Nathan kept his composure. "So, you're already involved," he said, his voice low. "We've been talking," Claire admitted, her gaze dropping. "It's early, but it feels exciting." Ava grinned, oblivious to the storm brewing in Nathan. "It's not a big deal, Dad. You can date too. It's about living your truth, not being tied down." The phrase "living your truth" ignited a cold fury. Nathan leaned back, tapping his fingers on the chair, a habit from his reservist days to steady his hands. "Count, breathe, don't break." "So, Ava, you're saying everyone's doing this? Opening their marriages, no strings?" "Absolutely," Ava said, nodding like she'd aced a debate. "You're just old-fashioned, Dad. Love's about freedom now, not control." Nathan's stomach burned, but he forced a tight smile. "And you, Claire? You're bored with me? 18 years and you're ready to trade it for a chef." Claire's eyes flickered with guilt. "I'm not trading anything. I need to feel alive again. Ryan does that for me." The confession was a gut punch. Nathan wanted to stand, to shatter the glass coffee table, to walk away. But he stayed, his mind racing. "All right," he said at last, his voice eerily calm. "You want an open marriage? I'm in. But we do it my way." Claire's eyes widened, a mix of surprise and wariness. Ava smirked, thinking she'd scored a win. "For real? You're okay with it?" On one condition, Nathan said, his gaze drilling into them. This house, my company, my assets, they're mine, thanks to the prenup we signed. You want your freedom? Fine. But I set the rules here. If you don't like them, find another place to live. Ava laughed dismissive. Dad, come on. The house is half Mom's, legally. Claire raised a hand, her voice quiet. Ava, stop. He's right. The prenup gives him the house. Her eyes met Nathan's, a flicker of doubt breaking her resolve. Nathan stood, his presence commanding. I'll have my lawyer draft a postnup. Clear terms, binding rules. You want to play this game? We play by my board. He walked to the kitchen, letting the silence choke them, their confidence crumbling. That night, Nathan overheard them in the dining room. Ava whispered, he's bluffing, Mom. He'd never kick you out. You're his whole world. Claire's voice was unsteady. You don't know your father, Ava. He's different when cornered. His reservist days, he could be ruthless. Nathan retreated to his office, their words echoing. Ruthless. Maybe he was. In his reservist training, he'd learned to act decisively, to control chaos. He'd buried that side under tech deals and family life, but now it surged, sharp and calculated. They'd thrown down a gauntlet and he'd make them regret it. The next morning, Nathan met his lawyer, Olivia Chin, at a Gaslamp Quarter cafe. Olivia, a fierce litigator with a knack for strategy, grinned over her espresso. An open marriage? Claire's bold. Why not just divorce her? Too easy, Nathan said, his voice low. I want them to feel this. I want control. He slid a tablet across the table, detailing his terms. No alimony if Claire divorced during the open marriage, no claim to the house or Blake Innovations, no partners in his home, monthly health checks, and Claire covering her own dating expenses. Olivia raised an eyebrow. This is a steel trap, Nathan. Your dad would be proud. Nathan thought of his father's unyielding gaze. It's not about pride. It's about consequences. They want modern? I'll show them modern. 2 days later, they sat in Olivia's office. Claire's lawyer, a sharp woman named Emily Voss, scanned the postnup, her expression darkening. This is oppressive, she said, tossing the papers down. No alimony, no assets, and these restrictions? It's borderline coercive. Claire, pale but defiant, lifted her chin. I'll sign. He's trying to scare me, but I'm not backing down. Ava, arms crossed, glared. This is cruel, Dad. You're humiliating Mom. Nathan met Ava's eyes, his voice icy. Your mother's free to do what she wants. You said love isn't about money, right? So she'll manage. Ryan's a star, bet he'll cover her dates. Claire signed, her pen strokes sharp. Ava fumed, but Nathan felt a quiet triumph. The game was on, and he held the winning hand. The San Diego sun blazed over Gaslamp Quarter, its historic streets alive with tourists and the hum of summer. Nathan Blake, at 43, was a master of control, steering Blake Innovations through the tech world's chaos. But in his personal life, control was slipping. Claire, his wife of 18 years and their 19-year-old daughter, Ava, had ambushed him with a proposal for an open marriage, revealing Claire's interest in Ryan Holt, a celebrity chef. Nathan had agreed, but only on his terms, and now he was ready to turn their betrayal into his advantage. At home in La Jolla, the tension was thick. Claire moved with a forced confidence, planning her first date with Ryan at his trendy Holt's Coastal Grill. Ava, meanwhile, flaunted her usual carefree attitude, her UC San Diego tuition and lifestyle still funded by Nathan's wealth. But Nathan was done being their safety net. His reservist training, assess, plan, execute, kicked into high gear, and he was crafting a response that would hit hard. The morning after the confrontation, Nathan met his lawyer, Olivia Chin, at a sleek coffee shop in Little Italy. The aroma of espresso mingled with the salt air from the nearby harbor. Olivia, a Stanford grad with a razor-sharp mind, sipped her latte and smirked. So, Claire wants to play free spirit with a TV chef? And you're not divorcing her because... It's too clean, Nathan said, his voice low, his eyes scanning the cafe. I want them to feel the weight of this. They think they can rewrite our life? I'll rewrite the rules. He slid a tablet across the table, detailing a postnuptial agreement. The terms were ruthless: no alimony if Claire divorced during the open marriage, no claim to the La Jolla house or Blake Innovations, no partners allowed in his home, monthly health screenings for both, and Claire covering her own dating expenses. They want freedom, Nathan said, but it comes with a price. Olivia scanned the document, her eyebrows rising. This is a legal cage, Nathan. No wiggle room. You sure you want to go this hard? Nathan leaned back, his face unreadable. They started this. I'm finishing it. Olivia nodded, a glint of admiration in her eyes. Your dad's SEAL instincts are strong in you. All right, I'll have it ready by tomorrow. Nathan's next move was bolder. He reached out to Elise Holt, Ryan's 22-year-old sister, a rising indie musician with a rebellious streak. They'd met at a charity event at Ryan's restaurant where she'd mocked her brother's flashy persona. Nathan texted her, half expecting a brush-off, "Coffee? I'd love to hear about your music." To his surprise, she replied within minutes, "Sure. Tomorrow, 3 p.m., North Park." The coffee shop in North Park was eclectic, with vinyl records lining the walls and the hum of a local band practicing nearby. Elise arrived in a leather jacket, her dark hair loose, her energy vibrant. "So," she said, stirring her cappuccino, "you're the guy married to my brother's latest obsession. What's this about?" Nathan leaned forward, his charm deliberate but genuine. "I'm navigating some changes at home. Thought you might relate, given Ryan's track record." Elise laughed, sharp and knowing. "Oh, I know my brother. He's all charm until the spotlight shifts. What's Claire gotten herself into?" They talked for hours, her wit and independence disarming Nathan. What started as a strategic move to mirror Claire's betrayal by dating Ryan's sister felt unexpectedly real. Elise wasn't just a pawn, she was a spark, and Nathan felt a flicker of something he hadn't in years. Back home, the fallout began. Nathan informed Ava he was cutting her financial support, no more tuition payments, no car lease, no credit card bailouts. "You're an adult," he told her in the kitchen, his voice calm but firm. "You backed your mother's plan. Now you pay for it." Ava's jaw dropped, her eyes blazing. "You're serious? You're cutting me off because I supported Mom? That's so messed up, Dad." Nathan crossed his arms. "You called me old-fashioned, said I needed to evolve. Here's your modern world, Ava. Handle it." She stormed out, slamming the door, her phone already buzzing with texts to friends. Nathan knew she'd struggle, her designer clothes and weekend brunches weren't cheap, but he wasn't budging. Claire, meanwhile, was diving into her fling with Ryan. She returned from their first date glowing, oblivious to Nathan's plans. But cracks were already forming. At a family dinner, Ava, still fuming, let slip a rumor she'd heard at UCSD. Ryan was spotted with another woman at a downtown club. Claire brushed it off, but her smile faltered. Nathan seized the moment to escalate. He invited Elise to a high-profile tech gala at the Hotel del Coronado, a glittering event attended by San Diego's elite. Elise arrived in a sleek black dress, her confidence turning heads. Nathan introduced her as his date, their chemistry undeniable. Whispers spread, Ryan Holt's sister with Claire Blake's husband? The gossip hit Claire like a tidal wave. The next morning, Claire confronted Nathan in their living room, her face pale, her voice shaking. "You're dating Elise Holt? Ryan's sister? Are you trying to humiliate me?" Nathan leaned against the fireplace, his expression cool. "You wanted an open marriage, Claire. I'm just playing by your rules. You've got Ryan. I've got Elise." Claire's eyes welled up. "This isn't what I meant. You're making a spectacle of us." "You made it a spectacle," Nathan said, his voice cutting. "You and Ava thought you could rewrite our life. Now you live with it." Ava, overhearing, stormed in, her barista apron still on from her new job at a gas lamp cafe. "You're disgusting, Dad. Elise is like my age. You're embarrassing Mom in front of everyone." Nathan turned to her, his gaze steady. "You're embarrassed? Good. Maybe you'll think twice next time you cheer for your mother's affair." Claire's voice broke. "Nathan, please. I didn't know it would feel like this. Can we just talk?" "We're talking," Nathan said, turning away. "You signed the postnup. You wanted freedom. Enjoy it." He left them in the living room, their anger and tears echoing behind him. That night, Nathan met Elise at a rooftop bar overlooking the San Diego skyline. The city sparkled below, but Elise's focus was on him. "You're playing a dangerous game," she said, sipping a cocktail. "I'm not just here to stick it to Ryan, you know. I like you, Nathan. But I need to know this isn't just revenge." Nathan met her eyes, a rare vulnerability surfacing. "It started that way," he admitted. "But you're different. This feels real." Elise smiled, cautious but warm. "Good. Because I don't play second fiddle, not even to my brother's drama." As Nathan drove home, his phone buzzed with a text from Ava, "Mom's a mess. You happy now?" He ignored it, but a flicker of doubt crept in. His plan was working. Claire and Ava were reeling, but at what cost? The game was far from over, and Nathan knew the next move would test them all. San Diego's autumn rolled in with a cool edge, the Pacific breeze carrying a hint of salt and change. Nathan Blake, at 43, was a fortress of resolve, steering Blake Innovations through a tech boom while orchestrating a calculated revenge at home. His wife, Claire, and their 19-year-old daughter, Ava, had pushed for an open marriage, revealing Claire's infatuation with celebrity chef Ryan Holt. Nathan had countered with a brutal postnuptial agreement and a strategic relationship with Elise Holt, Ryan's sister, turning their betrayal into his leverage. But as September faded, the cracks in their plan and his own began to show. At Blake Innovations, Nathan secured a major AI contract, his office overlooking the Gaslamp Quarter's vibrant streets. Work was his sanctuary where control was absolute. But at his La Jolla home, tension simmered. Claire's fling with Ryan had lost its shine. She returned from dates distracted, her confidence replaced by a nervous edge. Ava, meanwhile, was reeling. Nathan's decision to cut her financial support, no more tuition, car lease, or credit card bailouts, had forced her into a barista job at a bustling downtown cafe. Her designer wardrobe was gathering dust, and her social media posts had shifted from brunches to complaints about early shifts. One evening, Nathan arrived home to find Ava in the kitchen, her apron stained with coffee, her face flushed with anger. "Dad, this is insane," she snapped, slamming her phone down. "I'm working my ass off, barely covering rent, and you're just, what? Punishing me for Mom's idea?" Nathan set his keys on the counter, his expression unyielding. "You're not being punished, Ava. You're living the modern life you preached. You backed your mother's plan to upend our family. Now you deal with the fallout." Ava's eyes blazed. "You're heartless. I'm drowning in loans and you don't care. Mom's a wreck and you're out there with Elise, making us a laughingstock." Nathan leaned against the island, his reservist training keeping his voice steady. "You called me old-fashioned, said I needed to evolve. Here's your evolution, Ava. Actions have consequences. Figure it out." She grabbed her bag, storming out with a door slam that echoed through the house. Nathan exhaled, a flicker of guilt brushing his resolve, but he buried it. This was about principle, not sentiment. The next morning, Claire confronted him in the living room, her face pale, her hands trembling. "Nathan, we need to stop this," she said, her voice raw. "The open marriage was a mistake. I want to close it. Now." Nathan raised an eyebrow, folding his arms. "A mistake? You were all in when you signed the postnup. What changed?" Claire's eyes darted away, her fingers twisting her necklace. "Ryan, he's not who I thought. I saw him with another woman at his restaurant. He's been dodging me, canceling plans. I was wrong, Nathan. Can we go back?" Nathan's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. "Go back? You wanted freedom, Claire. You got it. The postnup says we both have to agree to close this, and I don't agree." Claire's face crumpled, tears welling. "You're punishing me. This isn't about love, it's about control. You're humiliating me with Elise." "You humiliated yourself," Nathan said, his tone sharp. "You and Ava thought you could rewrite our life without a price. You were wrong." Claire sank onto the couch, her voice breaking. "I can't do this, Nathan. Seeing you with Elise, she's practically Ava's age. It's tearing me apart." Nathan's relationship with Elise had started as a chess move to mirror Claire's betrayal, but it had grown into something real. Elise, 22, was a musician with a fierce spirit, her indie performances lighting up North Park venues. They'd spent evenings at jazz clubs and beachfront walks in Coronado, her honesty disarming Nathan. She'd asked about his reservist days, listening without judgment as he shared the weight of high-stakes missions. Her presence was a balm, a contrast to the chaos at home. "Elise isn't the issue," Nathan said, turning away. "You wanted this game, Claire. We're playing it." Claire's voice rose, desperate. "I'm done with Ryan. I'm done with all of it. Please, let's fix this." Nathan paused at the stairs, his back to her. "You don't get to decide when it's over. Not anymore." He walked upstairs, leaving her sobbing in the living room. Days later, Nathan met Elise at her North Park studio, a cozy space filled with guitars and lyric notebooks. Over takeout tacos, she studied him, her dark eyes sharp. "You're wound tight," she said, tossing a napkin. "What's going on at home?" Nathan sighed, setting his plate down. "Claire wants to end the open marriage. Ava's furious about her job and bills. They're feeling the squeeze." Elise nodded, thoughtful. "And you? Are you okay with this? I mean, it started as a jab at Ryan, right? But it's more now, isn't it?" Nathan met her gaze, a rare softness breaking through. "It is. You're not just a move in this game. You're you." Elise smiled, a mix of relief and warmth. "Good, because I'm not here for drama. I like you, Nathan, but I need to know you're in this for real." Their conversation was cut short by a text from Ava. "Mom's not okay. She's been to the doctor. You need to talk to her." Nathan frowned, his gut twisting. He ignored it, but the message lingered like a shadow. A week later, Claire cornered him in the driveway as he returned from work. Her face gaunt, her eyes red-rimmed. "I went to the doctor," she said, her voice barely audible. "I caught something from Ryan. An infection. It's treatable, but... God. Nathan, it's humiliating." Nathan's chest tightened. A pang of pity, quickly smothered by anger. Happy? No. You jumped into bed with a guy you barely knew. Claire. Did you think there'd be no consequences? Tears streamed down her face, but she stood her ground. I know I messed up, but you're not blameless, Nathan. Dating Elise? Flaunting her at that gala? You're making a fool of me. You made a fool of yourself, Nathan said, his voice cold. I'm just living by the rules you wanted. Claire's shoulders slumped, her voice breaking. You're not the man I married. Nathan watched her walk back to the house, a flicker of regret stirring. But he buried it, focusing on the plan. He wasn't done yet. At Blake Innovations, Olivia Chun called with an update. Claire's lawyer reached out. She's pushing to renegotiate the postnup. Says it's unfair. I told her it's airtight, but she's desperate. Let her try, Nathan said, staring out at the San Diego skyline. She signed it. She lives with it. That night, Ava showed up unannounced, banging on the front door. Nathan opened it to find her furious, her barista apron crumpled. Mom's falling apart, Dad. She's sick. She's broke. And you're out there with Elise? This isn't you. Nathan crossed his arms, his voice low. You didn't care about me when you cheered for Ryan. You wanted modern. This is modern. Handle your own problems. Ava's face twisted with tears and anger. You're going to regret this. Mom's a wreck, and I'm barely surviving. You're destroying us. You destroyed yourselves, Nathan said, shutting the door. The slam echoed, heavy and final. As he stood in the quiet house, Nathan's phone buzzed with a text from Elise. Dinner tomorrow? Got something to share. He smiled faintly, a spark of warmth cutting through the cold. Claire and Ava were breaking, but Nathan was already looking ahead. To Elise, to a future he hadn't planned but was starting to want. San Diego's winter settled in with a gentle chill, the Pacific waves crashing against La Jolla's shores under a gray sky. Nathan Blake, now 43, stood at a pivotal moment. His calculated revenge against his wife, Claire, and their 19-year-old daughter, Ava, had unfolded precisely. Claire's affair with celebrity chef Ryan Holt was crumbling, and Ava was grappling with the realities of financial independence. But Nathan's relationship with Elise Holt, Ryan's sister, had grown from a strategic move into something deeper, stirring both hope and unease as the consequences of his actions rippled outward. At Blake Innovations, Nathan's AI-driven empire thrived, securing a Pentagon contract that solidified his status. His glass-walled office overlooked the Gaslamp Quarter, a sanctuary of control. But at home, the La Jolla house felt like a ghost town. Claire, 41, was a shadow of her former self, her once vibrant energy drained by stress and a treatable infection contracted from Ryan. Ava, juggling her barista job and UC San Diego classes, had traded her designer lifestyle for a cramped apartment, her resentment toward Nathan simmering. One stormy November evening, Nathan met Elise at her North Park studio, a warm haven of guitars and candlelight. Over homemade pasta, Elise dropped a bombshell. Nathan, she said, her dark eyes steady. I'm pregnant. 10 weeks. It's yours. Nathan's fork paused midair, his heart racing. Shock, fear, and a surprising warmth collided. Fatherhood again at 43, with the sister of the man who'd sparked this chaos. You're sure? He asked, his voice calm despite the storm inside. Elise nodded, her expression resolute. I am. I didn't expect this, but I want it. I'm ready if you are. Nathan's reservist training assessed, decide, act, kicked in. He thought of Ava, of the distance between them, of the mistakes he'd made as a father. This was a chance to do better. All right, he said, a faint smile breaking through. We'll make this work. Together. Elise exhaled, her face softening. Thank you. I know it's complicated, but I'm not here for Ryan's drama or your revenge. This us, it's real. Nathan squeezed her hand, a spark of hope cutting through his anger. Let's focus on that. Just us and the baby. But the past clung tightly. The next morning, Nathan returned home to find Claire in the living room, her face gaunt, her hands trembling. Nathan, I can't do this anymore, she said, her voice raw. I want a divorce. I'm done with the open marriage, done with everything. Nathan leaned against the doorway, his arms crossed. You know the postnup's terms. Divorce means you walk away with nothing, no house, no alimony, no stake in Blake Innovations. Claire nodded, her eyes hollow. I know. But I can't live like this, watching you with Elise, knowing I broke us. I just want out. For a moment, Nathan saw the Claire he'd loved at UCLA, laughing, fearless, planning their future. A pang of sadness hit, but he buried it. We'll talk to the lawyers, he said coolly. But you chose this path, Claire. She flinched, tears spilling. I know I messed up. But you're not innocent, Nathan. Dating Ryan's sister? Parading her at that gala? You're rubbing it in my face. You wanted freedom, Nathan said, his tone sharp. I gave it to you. Don't complain about the cost now. Claire sank onto the couch, her voice a whisper. I hate what we've become. Nathan turned and left, her words echoing in the quiet house. Ava's struggles were mounting. She cornered Nathan in the driveway a week later, her barista apron wrinkled, her face flushed. Mom's falling apart, Dad. She's sick, she's broke, and you're out there playing happy couple with Elise? You're destroying her. Nathan faced her, his voice cold. Your mother destroyed herself, Ava. And you? You cheered her on, called me a relic. You wanted modern? This is it. Ava's eyes welled up. I was wrong, okay? I didn't know it'd end like this. Mom's on meds, barely eating, and I'm killing myself to pay rent. You've made your point, stop it. Nathan stepped closer, his gaze unyielding. You chose your side. You're an adult. Act like it. Ava's voice broke. You're my dad. You're supposed to help me, not punish me. You rewrote the rules, Nathan said, turning away. Live with them. He drove off, her sobs fading behind him. At Elise's studio, Nathan found solace. Over coffee, she shared her latest win, a licensing deal for her music with a streaming platform. It's big, she said, grinning. Enough to support me and the baby, whatever happens. Nathan felt a surge of pride. Elise wasn't just a rebound, she was carving her own path. You're amazing, he said, squeezing her hand. We've got this. But Claire's decline nodded him. A call from his lawyer, Olivia Chin, confirmed it. Claire's lawyer says she's not fighting the divorce terms, Olivia said. She's moving to her sister's in Santa Barbara. But, Nathan, she's in rough shape. Physically, emotionally. You sure about this? Nathan stared out his office window, the San Diego skyline blurred by rain. She chose Ryan, Olivia. I'm not her savior anymore. That night, Ava texted again, Mom's in the hospital. Infection's worse. Please, Dad, talk to her. Nathan hesitated, his thumb hovering over the reply. He thought of Elise, the baby, the new life waiting. Then he typed, call her sister. I'm done. The next day, Nathan joined Elise at a prenatal appointment, the ultrasound revealing a tiny heartbeat. Elise squeezed his hand, smiling. It's real now, she whispered. Nathan nodded, hope and guilt swirling in his chest. He was building something new, but the wreckage of his old life loomed. At home, Claire was packing. Nathan found her in their bedroom, folding clothes into a suitcase. She looked up, her eyes tired. I'm leaving tomorrow, she said quietly. I'm sorry, Nathan. For everything. Nathan stood in the doorway, his voice flat. You wanted freedom, Claire. You got it. Good luck. She nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek, and resumed packing. Nathan walked away, her quiet sobs fading behind him. He didn't look back. San Diego's spring of 2026 bloomed with vibrant warmth, the Pacific sparkling under a clear sky. Nathan Blake, now 44, had navigated his tech empire, Blake Innovations, to new heights, but his personal life bore the scars of a calculated revenge. Claire, his ex-wife, had left for her sister's home in Santa Barbara, her health and spirit shattered by her affair with celebrity chef Ryan Holt. Their 19-year-old daughter, Ava, was forging a new path, hardened by financial struggles. Nathan, meanwhile, was building a future with Elise Holt and their unborn child, but the cost of his actions weighed heavily on his soul. The divorce had been swift and merciless. Claire, bound by the postnuptial agreement, walked away with nothing, no share of the La Jolla house, no alimony, no stake in Blake Innovations. She'd signed the papers in silence, her defiance gone. Nathan had instructed his lawyer, Olivia Chin, to execute it with precision, and Olivia delivered. The house, once filled with family laughter, now echoed with absence, its sleek design a stark reminder of a life undone. Nathan's relationship with Elise had blossomed into a lifeline. What began as a strategic jab at Ryan had grown into love. Elise, now 23, was thriving, her indie music gaining traction with a streaming deal. Her North Park studio, alive with guitars and dreams, was Nathan's haven. One evening, as they painted a nursery for their son, due in months, Elise studied him. You're quiet lately, she said, brushing paint from her cheek. Still carrying Claire and Ava? Nathan set his roller down, exhaling. It's hard not to. I won, but it doesn't feel like victory. Elise touched his arm, her voice gentle. You didn't break them, Nathan. They made choices. You're allowed to move forward. Her words stirred him, but the past lingered like San Diego's morning fog. Ava, now working full-time at a gas lamp cafe and tutoring to cover her UC San Diego loans, had cut contact. Nathan heard through a mutual friend that she'd moved into a shared apartment, her socialite days over. Her resilience sparked a quiet pride in him, but their rift was a wound that hadn't healed. Claire's fate was darker. In April, Nathan received a call from her sister, Megan, her voice heavy with grief. Nathan, she said, pausing, Claire passed last night. The infection, it caused complications. She was in the hospital for weeks. She didn't make it. Nathan stood in his office, the gas lamp quarters lights blurred beyond the window. Guilt, pity, and regret surged. I'm sorry, Megan, he said, his voice tight. I didn't know it was that bad. Megan sighed. She was lost, Nathan. She regretted everything, Ryan, the open marriage, all of it. I thought you should know. The call ended and Nathan sank into his chair, Claire's face at 23 flashing in his mind, radiant, planning their wedding on a Coronado beach. Then he saw her final days, broken, alone. Had his revenge pushed her too far? He shook his head, clinging to the truth. She'd chosen Ryan, chosen to unravel their life. The consequences were hers. At home, Elise was arranging baby clothes, her studio now their shared space. Nathan told her about Claire, his voice steady but heavy. Elise listened, then hugged him. You didn't cause this, she said firmly. She made her choices. You're not the villain. Nathan held her, grateful for her clarity. I want to get this right, he murmured. With you, with our son. You will, Elise said, smiling. We will. Weeks later, Nathan proposed to Elise during a sunset walk on La Jolla shores, the waves a soft chorus. She accepted, her eyes shining, and they signed a prenup, a nod to Nathan's cautious nature. Their wedding was intimate, held at a cliffside venue overlooking the Pacific, with close friends and Elise's music filling the air. Nathan felt a lightness, but Claire's shadow lingered. Ava, meanwhile, was rebuilding. Nathan learned she'd taken a second job, managing a campus bookstore, and was chipping away at her loans. One afternoon, he drove to her cafe, standing outside as she worked the counter, her face focused but not defeated. He didn't approach, but the sight of her strength stirred hope. She was learning, even if they'd never reconcile. By 2030, Nathan and Elise had settled in a craftsman home in Coronado, their son, Liam, now 3, a bundle of energy with Elise's dark eyes. Nathan had scaled back at Blake Innovations, prioritizing fatherhood. He was determined to be present to avoid the mistakes he'd made with Ava. One Sunday, as Liam played with toy boats, Nathan's phone rang. It was Megan. Nathan, she said, her voice soft, I found a letter Claire wrote you. Can I send it? Nathan agreed, and days later, the letter arrived, Claire's handwriting frail. Nathan, I'm sorry. I broke us chasing something I didn't understand. I hope you're happy with Elise. Be the father to your son that Ava deserved. I know you can. Nathan folded the letter, his throat tight. He thought of Claire's regret, Ava's resilience, his own hardened heart. Revenge had been precise, but it hadn't healed him. Liam's laughter pulled him back, a reminder of the life he'd chosen. He ruffled his son's hair, smiling. Show me that boat, champ. The past was done. Claire and Ava had faced their consequences, and Nathan had found redemption in a new beginning. But as he looked at Liam, he knew some wounds would linger, a quiet lesson in the cost of choices for everyone.